Hello and welcome to this all new episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm your host, Samantha Brumicamp, and today we are going to do a sweet focaccia bread. If you haven't caught my other episode on making the most delicious focaccia bread of your life, absolutely check that out. It's really easy. It's actually ridiculously easy once you understand how to do it. But we start the focaccia the same way, and you need 2.5 cups of lukewarm water. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of honey and 2.25 teaspoons of active dry yeast. You might have a packet for that, that's fine, but if you don't, it would be about 2.25 for the measurements. This is a really important step because it's activating the yeast, which is what you need for this type of bread. I always do this first, and then I do the honey, because I don't know if you know this, but honey is like really sticky. So if you did honey first and then tried to use these to catch this, it would get really messy and you'd get mad if you're anything like me. Okay, so now 2 teaspoons of honey. Let me see if I could just, nope. Little tip, shop locally, get honey that was made by bees that live local to you if you have allergy issues, because getting that kind of honey or that kind of pollen, you can have like the little teeny tiny balls of pollen, and you increase the amount, and apparently it helps you with allergies. Now, I'm not a doctor or scientist, but I do really believe in supporting local at the very least. And if it helps, awesome. If it's just in your head and it helps, great. I'm so happy that spring is here, but that also means allergy season. The pollen has been so gross already. Today it's like freezing. It's like this nice mix. Okay, so I do it like this, and then I'm going to pour the lukewarm water over this to help get the rest of the honey out. Again, this is the same thing if you're making a regular, like savory focaccia bread. But it's fun to expand and try in a new way, and it's always a crowd pleaser. And I am certain that this will also be a huge crowd pleaser. It's almost like making like cinnamon rolls, cinnamon buns, but instead it's in a like the crunchy, crispy focaccia consistency. Okay, I have it nice and mixed. I'm going to cover it. You can use saran wrap if you don't have a lid for your pot, and it's just going to sit for 5 minutes. That activates it. I already smelled the yeastiness. It's already bubbling up. You could be a nerd like me and just watch it, or you can just meet me back here in like 5. So it's been 5 minutes, and oh yeah, it looks milky. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this. There you go. It's milky, it's bubbly, it's ready. You see the blooms of bubbles bursting up. That's when you know. So the next part, now that we have the starter started, is to add flour. It's going to be 5 cups of all-purpose flour, whatever variety you prefer, and it's going to be a tablespoon of kosher salt. So first, just because it's easy, I'm going to add the kosher salt, and then I'm going to make a huge mess with the flour. Okay. I like sprinkle it evenly throughout the bubbling concoction, because it makes a pretty sound, like rain. That's that, the end. So good. And I love using bowls that have their own lids. It just makes it easier. Again, you can use saran wrap if you want. I just rinse that into the mixture just to get all the salt off. Okay, into the sink. Oh, now we're gonna do 5 cups of flour. And no, I don't see me not making a huge amount. This is gonna get put in the storage container that I finally went through all of. I'm gonna call the tall cylindrical plastic. So far, I've only cut the outside bag. Oh God, no. What is the worst way to do this? Now that I've taught you that, you'll do it a better way. I'm already so proud of you. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 is even, and then 5 I'll just do a half of because I added a little extra on top of the other one. Measurement-ish is very important. It's science after all with this baking. All right, into the sink. Now we're going to mix it all together. This one, I would not recommend using a whisk. That's a whisk that you're having to take, but not me, because this is dough, and dough is going to get all sticky and clumped, and then it would never come out of the whisk. Little tidbit for you. So I'm just adding or using a silicone spatula in my favorite color, obviously. You mix this until the dough gets shaggy. Feel free to sing your favorite Shaggy song right now, for those that from my generation. Okay, yeah. So good. Now that is nice and shagariff, which is what you want. I'm going to be adding olive oil to coat it. You can do an extra step where you like do the stuff in a smaller bowl and then right now change it to a bigger bowl. I've never done that. I just feel like that's more cleaning. I add the oil to it and just like use a spatula to make sure the oil cooks it. But it, it's up to you. It's up to you. But you add about 4 to 6 tablespoons of oil. I eyeballed it because I make this all the time. If you feel like nervous about that, then you can measure it exactly. But you want to coat it because you don't want it getting stuck to the bowl. It's absolutely coated. I will push down any of the extra dough bits because I don't want to miss out on anything, even on the spatula, which is silly, but I feel like it's an extra bite you're giving yourself by doing that. This would be a great thing to make if you're hosting your friends for brunch. Huge crowd pleaser. Okay, now that it's coated in oil in a big bowl, lid on, spatula in the sink. Feels so good. Pop it in the fridge, pop it like it's hot, and then wait 8 hours or overnight if you're doing this at night. So now that it's sat overnight and rose, we're going to do the method where you take 2 forks and you fold it over and turn and fold and turn and fold and turn and fold again turn and fold, turn. You do it a few times because you're deflating it. Why are you deflating it? Because science, you want the texture of the focaccia to be nice and crispy and delicious, even if you're doing the cinnamon bun one. And this is a method of the no-knead focaccia bread. I have my 9 by 13 glass pan all ready. And once I've folded this in enough on itself that I feel satisfied with the results, I'm going to then dump this into the glass pan. So stay right there. Oh, and these beautiful flowers. Yeah, it's almost gardening season. I couldn't help myself. Gorgeous flowers from Zimmerman's greenhouse, the purples. And then these delights are from Black Creek, which is more like Crack Creek because that place, both places, are super reasonable and have a million different types of plants, including like baby eucalyptus and stuff that I've never seen. So highly recommend those things. Stick right here. I'll be right back with the glass pan. Grab the glass pan. I just want to share a tip. Taking a stick of butter, and I'm using the sharp corners of the butter before it gets destroyed to do all of the corners, because that's the hardest part, in my opinion, my experience lifelong of buttering pans. You do it like that and get the corners first, the crevasses, if you will. Then you can easily butter the rest of it without having to worry about missing a spot. There's nothing more upsetting than something delicious that you've made that just will not come out of the pan. It is one of the most frustrating things of baking or cooking. So I am buttering this, even though I'm going to be adding oil too, because focaccia bread is very, very heavy with oil. Even if it's going to be a sweet variety, I still want the consistency of focaccia bread. And the butter adds to the flavor also. And unless you need to be super healthy, in which case, if you do, don't do this. Skip this part. And just use oil. A healthy oil. A healthy fat. Okay. All right, so this is nice and covered. I'm going to be using the rest of this butter later to do the filling part, because this is, all these parts right now are just like a traditional focaccia bread, in which you are folding it, you're putting it in this container. 9 by 13 is what I'm using because I like it a little thicker, and you're going to then sit it aside on a warm, say, pre-baking oven for a few hours. Could be an hour, hour and a half, could be 2 to 3, depending on what you're doing with your life. And it's going to rise a lot. And it's a really important step. You don't want to skip this step, because then you'll end up with something that's just not as tasty. Like, who wants to do that? That's just like silly talk. Oil, just going to give it a healthy amount on the bottom, because this beauty, I'm just folding it so it's like letting go of the sides. It already started to rise again, because that's what it does. Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to plop this right in. Sure, let it go. And there we go. Okay. I'm going to use the forks. I'm going to use the forks to help it a little bit spread out. As it sits on the warming oven, it is going to absolutely fill this container. But I like to give it a little help so that it kind of fills it evenly. I always want to make sure the corners are covered and the middle is not too high. And these striations that I'm putting in it with a fork are not going to stay there. So if you're worried that I'm making it ugly or whatever, don't worry about that. Those will disappear as this rises. Kind of bullying it a little bit. and keeping my fingers clean, just in case. Notice I did remove my rings in case I got super oily and gross. That's your call. Okay, so this will now sit for an hour and a half. Go run some errands, and then we'll all meet back here and make the filling that we'll add to it. So we let this rise, and it basically filled it up. That was for, you want to do it for at least an hour and a half, up to 3 or 4 if you're busy and have stuff to do. So that's awesome. We're going to leave this here, and now we're going to work on the filling part, which is what's going to make this focaccia bread more like a cinnamon bun. So obviously we have cinnamon, which we're going to do 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. We're going to do 6 tablespoons of butter, and luckily it's labeled. So, and oddly enough, 6 is exactly what's left on what I used to butter this pan. So that's exciting. We're going to do 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and we're going to do 1/2 cup of packed down dark sugar, dark brown sugar. And that's super easy, but you do need to do something special, or you could, oh, and a pinch of nutmeg also, which I don't have that yet, but we'll do that part separate anyway. But you definitely want to do something first with the butter. We're going to brown it. So follow me over to the hex clad that's waiting for me on the stove. And I'm going to show you how to easily and quickly brown butter. It's really easy. I can do it. You're definitely going to be able to do it. You found me. So pumped. I have the hex clad warming up to medium heat. I'm going to add all 6 tablespoons or notches, as indicated on this butter wrapper, of butter, and we are going to brown it. Don't be overwhelmed by the concept or think you're not ready to do such a thing. It's really easy. You're basically lightly burning it in a way. But we don't really want to burn it, so choose your kitchen weapon of choice. As it begins to melt, you could have chopped this up. It would make it easier to melt, but I didn't do that. And you're stuck with me. So we're going to do it the long, hard way. Basically, what you do to brown butter is on medium heat, you're going to have the whole thing melted and stir it occasionally. And in no time at all, it will begin to basically get foamy or frothy. And that's when you know. And also it's going to turn slightly brown, like a caramel color. And that's when you know to immediately take it off the heat. I am starting to hear the butter popping and locking. It's starting to froth. You see the heat rising. It's almost ready to be taken off the heat, and I grabbed the bowl with the sugar, vanilla extract, cinnamon, and a pinch of nutmeg. So once this is browned, you have to watch it. You can't walk away from it, obviously, because it'll burn. And burn butter is awful. Brown butter, delicious. It's a fine line. So this isn't something that you could put on and walk away from. I can recommend that. Or if somebody comes to your door, take it off the heat. Don't be stupid. You don't want to cause a kitchen fire. More importantly, you don't want to ruin your delicious thing that you're making. Okay. Nice and bubbly. Just a couple more seconds. And I'm constantly stirring it because I do not want it to burn. I want it to brown just slightly more. In fact, I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to leave it on the heat a little bit though. I probably don't want to use it. If you don't use it, you lose it, I heard. with brown butter. That's what I'm specifically talking about. And while it is still in its nice, hot, bubbling liquid form, I will add it to this bowl. Be careful. Hexclad, baby. Mm-mm-mm. They really know what they're doing. Barely anything left in here. So easy to clean. Highly recommend this. Now that that's, I'm going to put this off the heat. I realize I'm doing this awkwardly, but I'm doing it for you guys. Notice that I grabbed the bowl on the upper rim because the butter I just poured in here is hot. And when you pour something hot into metal, the metal gets hot. And I don't want you burning yourself. Oh yeah. So now we have this delicious, kind of just want to eat it with a spoon. Delicious, delicious stuff. Always mix the dried stuff together first, because once you add the liquid, it's a little bit tougher to ensure that you've made it even throughout. And you don't want it to get stuck, having like one person, such as yourself, have just that one strong bite of nutmeg when it should have been like a dainty flavor added throughout. But that's what that looks like right now. Ooh. And now we go to the next part. So here we go. Get away from the heat. So we have the filling ready. In the recipe that I have found on the internet machine, it said that you're only going to want to use half of this to first fold it into the dough. Notice this is super fluffy and I haven't deflated it yet. Usually you deflate it and then it'll rise up a second time. So we're going to add this stuff and help deflate it while folding it in. I've never done this before, so I don't really know what the method's going to be, but I'm just going to kind of plop it, and then I'm going to use my fingers and take off my rings, and I'm going to squish it in. And then the other half you put in later when it's risen again, and it's time to do the piano fingers, which I hope that you catch one of the previous Focaccia episode, because that's the most fun part. If not, don't worry, because we will be doing it again. So I'm going to say that that's about half of this stuff. And I'm going to take off my rings. I'd already washed my fingers. And now I'm ready to try to move this throughout the dough. If you're afraid because it's going to be messy, get over it. But also, you could add some oil to your fingers if you feel like that'll help cut you loose faster. Okay. Now I'm going to be dangerous, and I'm going to kind of fold it in on itself. Yeah, that's when it gets real nice and messy. Okay. Now we're going to continue squishing it about, and it will continue to go back into the shape it was in before. Have no fear, my friends. If you have sensory issues, this may not be for you, because once you flip it, because it's in so much olive oil, you would do like, the 4 to 6 tablespoons of olive oil when you're putting the dough into the glass pan that I've already buttered. So it is a little bit slimy, squishy. Probably the closest you'll get to touching Slimer from Ghostbusters, which for some might be really sad to hear. And I don't mean to be the one to tell you that news, but for some of you, you might be pumped to know that you'll never have to touch Slimer. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, because you've never seen Ghostbusters, guys, what are you doing? It's from the 80s, baby. All great things are. You can find it probably streaming on most things because it's old school. And I know probably Disney has it because I think they're the ones that house all of the new ones, which are pretty good. I'm a huge fan. All female cast, amazing. So good. Okay. Well, now I'm super messy. I'm going to preheat the oven. I'm going to wash my hands, and I'm going to let this rise back up for about another hour or two until it fills up most of the space. Then we're going to put this other half of the filling on top, and I'm going to piano fingers it. And you're going to love it. And it's going to be amazing. See you in a minute. So we see that it has risen back up, which is really exciting. And I changed to a glass bowl so you could see just how much I have left of the other half of the filling, the traditional cinnamon bun filling, which again, brown sugar, vanilla extract, a pinch of nutmeg, and of course, cinnamon. So now I'm going to plop it around. It's gonna get messy, which is why I just took off my rings again. Making sure it's a little liquidy with the butter and stuff will make it easier to piano hands it, to spread it across so it's more even. And then the oven is preheated. What did I put it to? Like, it depends on your oven, like 450 or 430. Mine's, a little bit difficult, as you know, if you've watched any of the shows, because it is electric, boogie, oogie, 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 but it has a mind of its own, so we have to put the old school mom and pop shop hanging thermometer in so I can see what it really is. Ooh, and I hear rain. This was such a perfect rainy day. Activity. Okay. I think I have enough, right? I don't want to miss a morsel. All right, and now, ba, 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 ba. So what is the point of playing the piano on the focaccia bread? It's not just about getting messy. That's an added bonus. It's about getting the air pockets kicked out, getting that really delicious, crunchy, airy focaccia bread. Oh my gosh, this looks so gorgeous. So I'm going to put it in, and I'll set the timer. I'm going to put the timer for 15 minutes and check on it. Usually 15 minutes is enough time. In my oven, you'll have to experiment with yours, because even if it's the same brand and everything, you never know. Things are quirky, especially in the kitchen. So meet me back here in about 15-ish minutes, and I'll show you the final delicious, crunchy product. Cinnamon bun focaccia bread. It's just so fun. All right, I have to stop touching it. It's hard not to keep going because it's so fun. But I'm super messy, so it's a little gross. So that is why I save the icing when using the cinnamon buns for other things. Because now my whole thing is iced. Of course, this is still really hot, but if you've ever watched the show before, you know I have no patience, so I'm going to dig right in. I don't recommend you do the same. It almost feels like it's going to pull apart like monkey bread. It's steaming hot, but it smells so good. Let me just get over here. Cheers. Okay. This came out way better than I anticipated. I was a little bit skeptical to do a focaccia bread cinnamon bun situation because I would think the consistency would be so different. This is delicious. I highly recommend trying to make this. You saw how easy it was. You saw how fast it cooked once everything happened. And having icing on hand, even though it doesn't take long to make it, just, cuts out that time and gets you right into stuffing your face with this, which is what I'm about to do. Not going to barehand this yet because it is scalding hot. But I wanted to thank you for joining me for this very special brand new episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm your host, Samantha Bremenkamp, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to seeing you next Friday at 9 p.m. right here on BCTV. I hope you can smell this.